You know what you should be doing. You know the phone call you've been avoiding. You know the project you keep pushing back. You know the conversation you've rehearsed 1,000 times in your head and never had. You know the habit you said you'd start on Monday, and then the next Monday, and then the one after that. You know. So why aren't you doing it? Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care enough, not because you lack information or opportunity or time. You've got enough of all three, and you know that too. The reason is harder to admit, and that's exactly why we're here today. Because somewhere along the way, somewhere between the life you imagined and the life you're actually living, something started working against you. Not your boss, not your past, not the economy or your circumstances or the people who let you down. Something closer, something that knows exactly where your doubts live, something that shows up the moment you're about to take the step that matters, something that whispers, "Not yet. You're not ready. What if it doesn't work? What if people see you fail?" That something is you. And before you shut this off or tell yourself this isn't your video, stay with me, because what I'm about to say isn't an attack, it's a mirror. And the people who need mirrors most are the ones who've been turning away from them the longest. Let's be precise about what we're actually talking about. Self-sabotage isn't always dramatic. It's not always rock bottom or blown opportunities or obvious destruction. In fact, for people at our stage of life, people with real experience, real intelligence, real self-awareness, self-sabotage is quiet. It's sophisticated. It looks like being too busy. It looks like needing more information before you decide. It looks like waiting for the right moment that somehow keeps not arriving. It looks like starting strong and then, just when momentum builds, pulling back, cooling off, finding a reason why this probably won't work anyway. Sound familiar? There are 4 forms this shows up in most often for people in our world. The first is procrastination. And not the procrastination of someone who doesn't care. The procrastination of someone who cares too much. You delay because the thing matters. Because if you try and it fails, that means something about you. So you wait, you prepare, you think about it at 2 a.m. and then you go to sleep and you do the same thing again tomorrow. The second is perfectionism, which sounds like a virtue until you see what it actually does. Perfectionism isn't about high standards, it's about protection. If you never finish, you can never be judged. If you never publish, you can never be rejected. If you keep tweaking and refining and adjusting, the moment of real exposure never comes, and you stay safe and stuck at the same time. The third is comfort zone attachment. This one is subtle, because the comfort zone at 50 or 55 or 60 doesn't look like cowardice. It looks like wisdom. It looks like knowing yourself. It looks like I'm past the age of taking stupid risks. But there's a difference between wisdom and avoidance. And deep down, you know which one you're actually in. And the fourth, perhaps the most dangerous of all, is the illusion of action. This is when you spend hours organizing your desk, reading another book on the topic, buying the right equipment, or constantly tweaking the plan. You feel exhausted at the end of the day, so you assume you've done the work, but you haven't moved an inch. You've just rearranged the furniture in the waiting room. Here's what all 4 have in common. They all feel reasonable in the moment. That's what makes them dangerous. If self-sabotage felt like self-sabotage, you'd stop. But it doesn't. It feels like prudence. It feels like patience. It feels like self-preservation. The mind is extraordinarily good at disguising retreat as strategy. And this is where the pain really lives. Not in the big obvious failures, not in the things you tried and lost. The pain lives in the things you never tried at all. In the version of yourself you keep catching glimpses of. Capable, clear, moving, and then something in you flinches and the glimpse disappears. You've been living with that gap, not for weeks, for years, maybe for a decade or more. And here's what nobody says out loud. By the time you're in your late 40s, 50s or 60s, that gap has weight, real weight. Because you're not just dealing with the day you didn't make the call or start the project. You're carrying the accumulated mass of every day since then. Every morning you woke up and didn't move. Every evening you went to bed knowing you'd circled the same spot again. That's not nothing, That's a cost. And I want to talk about exactly what it's costing you, because this is important. This is where most conversations about self-improvement go soft. They stay comfortable, they keep it abstract, they don't name the real price you're paying. We're not going to do that here. Let's look at what staying stuck is actually stealing from you. It's stealing your confidence. Not in a vague, general way, in a very specific, daily way. Every time you know what you should do and don't do it, a signal fires in your nervous system. And that signal says, I am not someone who follows through. You don't decide that consciously, but you absorb it. And over time, that absorbed belief becomes your identity. Not who you are, but who you believe you are. And you start acting accordingly. It's stealing your relationships, because the person who has given up on their own growth quietly starts resenting the people who haven't, or withdrawing from them, or filling space with surface-level conversation because going deeper would require being honest about where you actually are. You know the conversations you're not having, with your partner, with your kids, with the person in the mirror. It's stealing your time. And at this stage of life, that's not an abstraction anymore. You feel it, the sense that the window is closing. Seneca wrote about this over 2,000 years ago in his essay on the shortness of life. He observed that we are fiercely protective of our money and our property, yet we hand over our time, the only thing we can never get back, to anyone and anything. But worst of all, we hand our time over to our own fears. We tell ourselves we will live later, when the kids are grown, when the economy shifts, when we finally feel ready. Seneca called this the ultimate foolishness. You think you have an endless supply of tomorrows. You don't. The thought of spending the years you have left the same way you've spent the last several, that thought should sit in your chest like a stone. And here's the one that hits deepest. It's stealing your story, because every single person watching this video has a story they're meant to live. Not a perfect story, not an easy one, but a true one. A life lived in alignment with who you actually are, what you actually value, what you actually want to contribute, what you actually want to feel before this is over. Self-sabotage doesn't just delay that story, it replaces it with a smaller version, a safer version. A version built for comfort, not for meaning. And some part of you has known this for a long time. If you're watching this and thinking, yes, this is exactly what I needed to hear, then I want you to do one simple thing right now. Hit that subscribe button. We are building something real here on the Stoic Blueprint. Not hype, not shortcuts, just hard, honest, practical wisdom for people who are ready to stop circling and start moving. We are constructing the framework for a life of purpose, and I want you here for every single video. Now let's keep going, because here's what changes everything. Here's the reframe that the Stoics figured out thousands of years ago, and that most people in the modern world are still too distracted to hear. The enemy was never outside you, not once, not ever. Every obstacle you've blamed on circumstance, every delay you've attributed to bad timing, every failure you've assigned to other people, or bad luck, or the world just not cooperating. Underneath all of it, beneath every excuse and every reasonable explanation, you were there, not as the victim, as the architect. Now, before you bristle at that, I'm not saying your pain wasn't real. I'm not saying the people who hurt you didn't hurt you. I'm not saying life hasn't been genuinely hard in ways you didn't deserve. All of that can be true. And it can also be true that you have been, in ways you haven't fully examined, your own most consistent obstacle. The Stoics had a word for this. Actually, they had a framework, and it didn't start with grand philosophy or abstract theory. It started with one devastatingly simple question: what is actually within my control and what is not? That's it. That's the whole thing. Marcus Aurelius asked it. Epictetus built his entire life around it. Seneca wrote about it over and over, from wealth, from exile, from the shadow of a tyrant who could have him killed at any moment. These men weren't sitting in comfortable rooms theorizing about philosophy. They were living under pressure, real pressure, the kind that breaks people. And what they discovered, what they kept coming back to no matter the circumstance, is that almost everything you suffer from is made worse by one single mistake: misplacing your attention, focusing on what you cannot control while neglecting what you can. Think about how much energy you spend on things that are not yours to govern, what other people think of you, how your adult children are living their lives, whether the economy cooperates, whether your body still looks the way it did at 35, whether someone finally acknowledges what you've been through, whether the timing is finally right. None of that is in your column. And yet, if you're being honest, that's where most of your mental energy goes, most of your worry, most of your resentment, most of the invisible weight you carry from one day into the next. Meanwhile, the column that is yours, your attention, your choices, your words, your effort, your response to what happens to you, that column sits mostly unmanaged, mostly reactive, mostly driven by habit rather than intention. This is the trap. And it is so subtle, so deeply wired into the way we operate as human beings, that most people go decades without ever seeing it clearly. You think you're responding to the world. You think you're being realistic. You think you're waiting for the right conditions to finally show up before you make your move. But what you're actually doing is handing the wheel to everything outside yourself and wondering why you're not getting where you want to go. This is self-sabotage at its most invisible. Not the dramatic kind, not the obvious kind, the quiet, daily, completely understandable kind, where you keep yourself small by keeping your gaze on everything you cannot change, while the life you actually want to live waits just inside the column you've been ignoring. I don't want this to stay abstract for you. I want you to be able to use this today, not someday, today. Let me tell you about a man named James Stockdale, naval aviator, shot down over Vietnam in 1965. Spent nearly 8 years as a prisoner of war in the Hanoi Hilton, including years of torture, isolation, and conditions that would break most people before breakfast. He had no rights, no release date, no certainty that anyone was coming for him. He came home, and he came home whole. Not physically. His body never fully recovered, but mentally, spiritually, in terms of who he was, he came home more himself than when he left. And he led other men through it too. People asked him how he survived, and he said something that has stayed with thinkers and leaders ever since. He said, "I never lost faith in the end of the story. I never doubted that I would prevail. But I also never confused faith with fantasy." He watched men break, not the pessimists, not the ones who expected the worst. The ones who broke were the optimists. The ones who said, "We'll be home by Christmas." Then Christmas came and went. Then we'll be home by Easter. Easter came and went. Then by summer. And when each deadline passed without rescue, the gap between their expectations and reality destroyed them. They died of a broken heart. Stockdale held two things at the same time: absolute faith in the outcome and clear-eyed acceptance of the brutal facts of his current reality. He held the harder truth. This is going to be brutal. I don't know when it ends, and I will handle whatever today brings. That's not weakness. That's not passivity. That's one of the most advanced things a human mind can do. It is the exact opposite of self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is the reverse. It's either blind optimism with no real action behind it, or complete surrender to circumstances, as if nothing you do matters anyway. Both roads lead to the same place: inertia. Stockdale chose neither. He chose what the Stoics would call living according to what is real and acting within what is yours. So what does this look like for you? Not in a prison camp, in your actual life. On a Tuesday afternoon when you find yourself doing absolutely anything except the thing you said you were going to do. Here's how self-sabotage shows up in real time, and here's how to catch it. You feel a pull towards something uncomfortable. Maybe it's a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's sitting down to work on something that matters to you but feels too uncertain. Maybe it's telling the truth to someone who needs to hear it, including yourself. The moment that pull comes, something else activates. Not laziness, not weakness, fear dressed up as reason. It sounds like, "Now isn't the right time," or "I need to do more research first." or I'll feel more ready next week, or my personal favorite, I deserve a break, I've been working so hard. And all of those thoughts feel completely true in the moment. That's what makes this so hard. Self-sabotage doesn't arrive wearing a mask. It arrives sounding like wisdom, like self-care, like patience. But there's a tell. There is always a tell. Ask yourself this question, and ask it honestly. Does this choice move me toward the life I want, or away from it? That's it. That's the diagnostic. One question, 5 seconds. Not does this feel good right now, because comfort will almost always win that vote. Not is this the perfect moment, because there is no perfect moment, and part of you already knows that. Just, does this move me toward or away from? The Stoics called this living in accordance with your nature, your highest nature. Not your comfortable nature, not your defensive nature. The part of you that knows what you're actually capable of, what you actually want to build, what you actually want to look back and see when you get to the other side of this life. When you catch yourself moving away, you've caught the saboteur. And catching it is not a small thing. That moment of recognition, that flash of honest self-awareness is everything. Because you cannot redirect a pattern you haven't seen. Most people never see it, they just live inside it. The core Stoic principle at the heart of all of this is called Procrastination. It is the idea that the one thing always in your power, no matter what is happening around you, no matter what has been taken from you, no matter how the world has moved, is your response, your choice, your next move, not your past. The Stoics had no interest in blame or in the long story of how you got here. That story is done. It has already happened and it cannot be changed, so it is by definition outside your control. What is inside your control is right now, this moment, this breath, this decision. Not the grand sweeping transformation, not the full reinvention, just the next right thing that you already know needs to happen and have been avoiding. Now let's talk about what to do, specifically, today. The daily Stoic practice that begins to break this pattern operates in 2 parts. The morning examination and the evening review. It takes less than 10 minutes a day, and it will change the trajectory of your life. Step 1. The morning examination. Before you start your day, before you open your phone, before the news, before the noise rushes in, you sit with 2 questions. The first, what is the one thing today that I have been avoiding, that I know would move me forward? Not a list. One thing, the thing your gut already knows. The thing that probably surfaced in your mind the moment I asked the question. Write it down if you can. Speak it out loud if you can't. But make it real, not just a thought floating in the back of your head. Thoughts floating in the back of your head are where intentions go to disappear. The second question. What is the story I will likely tell myself to avoid doing it? Because you already know the story, you've told it before. Too tired, not ready, need more information, tomorrow. Name the story before it names you. Because once you've named it, once you've written it down or said it out loud, it loses about half its power. It becomes a thing you can see, rather than a current you're swimming in without knowing it. Step 2. The action. Then you go do the thing. Not perfectly, not completely. Not with full confidence or full energy or full certainty about how it's going to turn out. You just begin. Set a timer for 10 minutes if you need to. Do 10 minutes of the thing you have been avoiding. 10 minutes is not a transformation, it is a proof of concept. It is you showing yourself that you are capable of choosing differently, and that proof compounds. Safe things don't resist, important things do. The friction is proof you're heading in the right direction. Step 3. The evening review. At the end of the day, before you go to sleep, you ask yourself, how did I do? Not to beat yourself up. The Stoics didn't believe in guilt. They believed in course correction. Did I tell myself the story I knew I was going to tell? Did I let comfort win? If yes, acknowledge it, forgive it, and resolve to close the gap tomorrow. Do those 3 things today, then again tomorrow, then again the day after. You built the walls around you one small avoidance at a time, one decision not to look, One morning that turned into a week, that turned into a year of not asking the hard questions. And here's the part that is equal parts brutal and liberating. The key is in the same hands. You are the one who built the prison, and you are the one who walks out. Not because someone finally says the right thing to you, not because your circumstances magically align, not because you find the perfect system, or the perfect moment, or the perfect version of yourself, but because one day, maybe today, you decide that the story you've been telling yourself costs more than the discomfort of changing it. Marcus Aurelius wrote this in his private journal, "For no one but himself. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Not someone else's strength, not strength borrowed from better circumstances or easier days or a younger version of you. Your strength, the kind that was always there, underneath the noise and the stories and the small daily choices to stay comfortable instead of alive. You built the prison, you hold the key. Use it, endure, adapt, overcome."